cartoons. We all have watched them at least once in our life. But sometimes they can get a bad episode that people will hate it a lot that it had to be removed. That's what we are going to be talking about today. The first cartoon that we are going to be talking about was deemed as a really disgusting episode on Cartoon Network. Let's look at a video that talks about the episode.
Banned episodes of kids' TV shows. This episode was deemed too gross for television. In the Clarence episode Straight Illin, an escalating series of dares lead to Clarence eating 500 deviled eggs.
So as you heard, the episode was deemed too gross to be on TV, which is a really bad sign because the show was for kids. The episode was just Clarence doing some dares, which lead him to eating 500 deviled eggs. First of all, where did these kids get all of those eggs from?
The next day, he shows up to school looking like death. Everyone's disgusted, no one wants to be near him, and the whole episode is basically Clarence just glooping around while the rest of the school tries not to vomit. Sad to think that Cool Hand Clarence here accepts this dare just to get people to like him, but it backfires and makes everyone repulsed by him.
The next day, when he comes to school, he looked very bad. Here's a picture of how he looked. Yeah, it's way too realistic. Anyways, the school was really disgusted of him because he was really hard to look at. Which is really sad, because Clarence was doing all of those dares because he wanted people at his school to like him. But instead of people liking him, they were running away from because he looked really gross to look at. Which can be a bad thing for kids, because kids can watch that episode and start doing that in real life, which can ruin some kids' lives.
And that repulsion pervaded through the TV screen as viewers found Straight Illin way too gross for comfort and collectively gave it the lowest rating of the season on IMDb. Even before it aired, Cartoon Network had to cut 3 scenes for being too gross.
I'm surprised that the episode was removed just because of how gross it looked, which is still a bad thing, but not because it was a bad message to the kids. But also, some scenes were too gross to even be in the final episode, which would have been a really bad sign for Cartoon Network before they putted the episode on TV.
Sounds like fans would prefer not to see Straight Illin on their TV again, and Cartoon Network granted their wish, taking the episode behind the barn and putting it down after airing.
So the fans really hated the episode that Cartoon Network had it removed from the show. So yeah, that was the first one. Let's go to the next show and next episode.
Banned episodes of kids' TV shows. This Teletubbies episode had one person calling it the greatest horror film of all time.
Wow, that's already bad. I mean, like, somebody calling it a horror movie is already horrible.
The infamous sketch called The Lion and the Bear starts with a creepy off-screen voice taunting the Teletubbies, declaring that they're a bear and they're coming.
Already, what? I mean, like, why is there a bear in a kids' show? Yeah, the Teletubbies are already horrible looking, but a bear is even worse. It's worse because it's in a kids' show.
So the Teletubbies run away. Already not what you're supposed to do when being approached by a brown bear. After a long moment of suspense, the bear with brown fuzzy hair reveals itself as a cardboard cutout on a longboard. The bear speaks in rhymes, flexing their hiding skills, making funny faces, and then confessing they're hiding from an even scarier lion.
They start off by running, which is something you should not do when a brown bear is coming at you. After a while, the bear comes out and just makes some funny faces and then it mocks them from hiding. But then the bear stops and then tells them that they are hiding from something much bigger than him. A lion.
Think about it from the kid's perspective. You're already scared of the bear and now you're told there's an even scarier animal out there? That's trauma squared.
Yeah. He gave a really good point because the kids must be scared of the bear. And then they say that there is a much bigger animal out there, which is really scary to think about if you were a kid.
Then, with storm clouds rolling in, the terrifying roars of a lion echo across Teletubby land. Finally, the scary lion with big scary teeth reveals himself, and he's also made of cardboard and also has a sick longboard.
Okay, so it got dark and then the lion starts to roar, which sounds pretty spooky. And then the lion showed itself, which turns out to be a cardboard also.
You won't have me scared of some cardboard animals, but when you remember that the Teletubbies' target audience is kids all the way down to 1 year old, you absolutely cannot be putting this weirdo's face in front of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't have me scared of a cardboard too, but the show is for kids as low as 1 year old. And if a kid sees that lion, and hears what the lion sound, then they might get really scared.
Parents were furious when this segment first aired in 1997, flooding PBS with complaints that it was way too scary for preschoolers. PBS banned the episode in the US, and 4 years later the BBC followed, removing the short as well. The sketch was then modified with more cheerful music, the bear's voice more jolly, and the Teletubbies' reactions more excited from seeing the bear and lion instead of scared. But for a generation of kids, the damage was done. Redditors recalled this childhood trauma in a thread, saying the sketch was the bane of my nightmares. Haunted me for years.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, kids were literally traumatized from that. After the episode released, the parents flooded PBS with complaints to take the episode down. And then PBS finally took it down, and then BBC took the episode down too. So yeah, that episode was really creepy, so they took it down. Well, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Bye bye.